Hello, and welcome to today's history lesson. Now, we are getting towards the end of our unit looking at the Ancient Mayans. You may be thinking, hold on, it's Monday. Why are we doing history? We don't do history on a Monday. And there's a very good reason for that. So, before I get talking about the actual history lesson, let me talk to you about the lessons this week, because I've shuffled them around a bit, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Okay, so let's have a look. Now, we can see here that all the way through the week, apart from Friday, we have maths in the normal slot, live lesson, 9:15. Proved really popular with you, and pretty much everyone that we asked said they preferred it to recorded lessons for maths, so we're carrying it on, and I'm really happy with that. Now, the change is when you look over, let me get the pen, when we have a look over here. So you may notice history is here when it would normally be here on a Tuesday. And you may notice there's no English today. Well, why is that, you're thinking? And it's for two reasons. Number one, as you're probably watching this, it's snowy. It certainly was due to snow. I'm recording this on Sunday night, and it is due to snow all night tonight into tomorrow. Now, if it is a snowy day on Monday, I wanted to make sure that the English lesson, which is the start of your narrative writing, which is really, really important, is saved until the snow's a bit less, because I know what is likely to happen when the snow comes down. You're going to want to be out in it, and I can't really blame you for that. So I've moved the lessons around, knowing that I want the English to be really focused on, and if it's snowing outside and you want to be outside, that's going to be trickier. Doesn't mean to say I've abandoned the lessons, we've just moved them around a bit. Now, history is today, still expected to be done. Don't think you can go dancing out in the snow without doing your work, but I've moved the English to tomorrow. Okay, Spanish then in the afternoon. Now, the second reason that I've moved English is because I have spent all weekend writing my own story. Now, as I sit here talking to you now, it is currently 10 pages long and about 5,000 words. I've got very interested in it, and I'm really excited to read it to you, but I don't want to rush the ending. When I say I've been working on it all weekend, I mean I've been working on it all weekend. So my plan is to finish it tomorrow rather than rush it, and then it'll be ready for you for Tuesday for me to read it to you, and then you're going to write your own. I hope you like it, because I'm really enjoying writing it. Okay, so that's the sort of move around. So today you've got history here, Spanish in the afternoon, maths as normal in the morning. Then you have got tomorrow 2 lots of English, which is quite nice because that means you'll have written a good chunk of your story by the end of tomorrow. Wednesday is part 3 of English, and then geography is normal in the afternoon. And Thursday is English part 4, that'll be where you're finishing writing your story, and then you'll have your normal art in the afternoon. Now, Friday is what's being called Screen Free Friday. This is something Miss Whitby is organising across the school, and she'll be sending out details to you on that. All I know is there's lots of fun activities for you to take part in that don't involve you staring at the screen listening to me talk, which is probably better for you, to be honest. Don't know what I'll do though. I'll just sit there, waiting, making more videos. So look out for details of that. They will be sent out. Quick note, I would like to apologise for last week for the bit of the confusion over the assembly. It said in the newsletter that the assembly was going to be carrying on. That's the whole year group assembly on a Friday. However, it didn't. We did our class assembly on the Thursday, but we didn't do the whole year group one. The reason for that is because having 90 people, or nearly 90 people, in the room caused us so many issues with the Zoom when we did it before. People couldn't get in, it seemed to lock people out. We're not quite sure what happened, but it was a bit of a disaster. So we decided to go back to just having class Zoom meetings. That's what the rest of the school are doing. However, that wasn't communicated in the newsletter, so apologies for that. But just to let you know, there are no more year group assemblies. The only time we will get you all together is if we have an announcement to make, like we did when we did the Maths Live lesson announcement. But we're not planning on doing that going forwards. Okay. Anyway, enough of me waffling. On with today. Today we are looking at history. So, as I said, we're finishing off our Mayan unit. We're pretty much done. And today's quite a nice lesson because it's a chance for you to go and do some research, and you produce that research in any way you like. Go and research the bits that interest you, the questions you might have had. Now, we're thinking about what life was like for the people in ancient Maya. Are there any ways you think it might be similar to now? Have a think. You may be thinking, no, it was hundreds, thousands of years ago. Of course it's not. But actually there are some ways that it is the same. Now, last lesson we looked at religion, and we looked at how important religion is to the Mayans. It kind of was in control of absolutely everything they did. They believed in many different gods for different things, and there are some key similarities and differences between the Mayan religion and other religions like Christianity. As I say, today you're going to be investigating what life was like for different people in ancient Maya. So we're not just going to be looking at the kings or the slaves, we're not just going to be looking at women or children, we're going to be having a bit of a look at everyone, and then you'll be able to choose the bits that interest you to do some further research on. Okay, so what do we know about life in ancient Maya so far? Well, if we have a think, one of the things we know is that religion was very important. What else do we know? Well, we know that there were different levels of importance. So different people had different power based on how important they were. I'm just going to put different power. If you remember, we looked at that sort of pyramid where at the top you have the kings and at the bottom you have the slaves and labourers. What else do we know? Well, when we looked at some of the artefacts where you had the pictures and you had to sort of work out what was true and what was false and what you maybe didn't know, we learned that they were very talented at making jewellery. Now, one of the guided reading texts you looked at last week looked at they wrote with hieroglyphics, which is essentially where you write with symbols instead of letters and words. Each symbol represents a different word. And there is much, much more. But today you're going to really get to grips with what interests you, because the whole point of good history learning is you take a subject and you focus on the bits that you are interested in. And that will be different for every single person based on what you like and what you don't like. For example, the idea of finding out more about what life was like for children might interest you. But equally, you might be interested in what life was like for women, or what the different battles and wars were, how they fought, what happened to warriors that were captured. There are so many different things you could look into. Okay. So, here are some of the questions you might choose to look at. So if you're focusing on children, you might ask yourself, did they go to school? Maybe you're going to look at what people ate, what they did for fun, what kind of homes did they live in, what did people wear. So these are lots of different areas you could ask your question about, which you will then go and do some research on. Okay, so let's say you picked one of these questions. You don't have to, you could have your own question to answer. How are you going to find out about it? Well, most of you, almost all of you I'd say, are going to use the internet. Now, internet research, go on Google, you type in your question, you see what comes up. Okay? But when you're Googling, you need to be careful what websites you're getting your information from. And I don't just mean to make sure it's safe. Okay? You need to make sure the website that you pick is what's known as reliable. I'm going to write that word down here, reliable. Now, reliable means, can you trust it? Can you trust it? And what I mean by that is, can you trust that what it's saying is true and has not been made up? Now, how are you going to know that? Well, one of the things you can look out for is who has created it. If it's made by someone like the BBC, if it's made by someone like National History, if it's made by an official body that looks at teaching history or investigates history, then you're probably going to be fine. If, however, you're looking at a website like Wikipedia, which often comes up quite high up, you need to be careful. Why do you need to be careful? Well, because anyone can write articles for Wikipedia. Okay, so if you were to go onto Wikipedia, and I'm going to sort of show you this now. So let's go for one of the questions. Let's go for, let's just research the ancient Mayans, see what comes up. Okay, it's going to load up the internet. Right, Ancient Mayans. Okay, so we've got history.com. And then, would you believe it, the first link down here that comes up is Wikipedia. BBC underneath. Good website, BBC. And then a few more. Britannica's okay, etc. But let's go on Wikipedia. Okay, so you look at this, you go, oh, it's got lots of long words. Must be correct. And it probably is, but you don't know where it's actually come from. I'm just going to move over here. Okay, because you've got like view source. Now, view source means that you can tell who's actually written it. Now, this page is currently semi-protected, so it's not fully protected. Established registered users can edit it. So they've limited it a little bit, but still, anyone that creates an account could edit it. So you can't be certain that what's in here is 100% true. The other problem as well is there's a lot of information on this page. It's not very friendly to read. It's not very easy to find out what you want to find out. The best way to find out what you want to find out is to literally type in the question. So if we go back to our PowerPoint here, let's have a look at did children, what should we go for? Let's type in, okay, did children go to school in ancient Maya? Here you go. First link that comes up we've got here. Now, this link here says they do. It's from a website called myers.mrdon.org. Never heard of it. Not sure if it's reliable. Wikipedia. Yep, it's saying that they do. Now, if you don't know if a site's reliable, what you can do is look at a couple of them and see if they say the same things. If a lot of different websites say the same thing, chances are it's probably true. So based on the fact that the top two links here are saying that they did go to school, I'm going to say it's fairly likely. Equally, if we go down to the BBC here, BBC, link about schools, link about children. Perfect. I trust them because it's the BBC. Designed for children, made by either professionals or teachers. Okay? So, that's how you're going to do your research. Now, here are some of the things you could choose to look at. And remember, you're only going to choose one of these. If you're going to look at homes, you could find out what kind of houses people lived in, what materials were they made from. If you're looking at women, you could find out what jobs did women do, what tools might they have used, farming and food, clothes, children, crafts, etc. So the first thing you need to decide is what you're going to research. And you need to ask yourself a question, and that is going to be the title of your research. So, apologies, that's not what I meant to do. To do. Step 1. Choose a question. For example, what was life like for children in ancient Maya? That's your question. That question becomes your title. Job 2. Do internet research on your question. However you want to do that. You can watch videos on YouTube if you can find them, go on different websites, etc. Job 3. Produce your information in a format that suits you. What do I mean by that? Well, basically, you can present your findings to me in any way you like. You could do a recording of you speaking through some facts. You could make a mind map poster, take a photograph of it, upload it to Seesaw. You could make a PowerPoint on Google Slides, for example, and share it with me. You could type up in a Word document, share it with me. You can make a poster and share it with me. However you want to do it is entirely up to you. Now, when we've asked people to do projects like this before and we've said, off you go, this is some of what they've produced. So this was last year, and they were doing a project looking at Germany and Peru for our geography unit. And we said to them, go and do some research, make us something that shows us what you found. And this is what they came back with. And as you can see, it looks really impressive. Okay? Was it quick? No, it took them a bit of time. And that's what we're hoping that you will do. Take a bit of time, make it look nice, get us some good information, but more importantly, spend the time researching what interests you. Okay? If you're interested in armies and war, look at armies and war. If you're interested in the life of children, look at the life of children. Whatever suits you. Okay? I will be posting these 3 links onto Seesaw for you. They have different information, so if you're stuck on your research, you can start here. Okay? That's all I've really got to say. So just to be clear, you need to go and choose a question, something to do with the Ancient Mayans. If you're not sure what to pick from, have a look at these. Pause the video now. Lovely, hopefully you've got your question. Once you've got your question, go to the internet, do some research. Don't just look at the first website you find, look at a couple of different ones. When you've done your research, make a poster, make a mind map, make a PowerPoint, whatever you want to do, to show me what you have learnt. Lovely. Thank you very much for listening. I cannot wait to read my story to you in English tomorrow. So remember, today, history in Spanish, tomorrow, double English. We're going to start writing your story. It's going to be amazing. Thank you very much for listening. Enjoy the snow if there is any. Goodbye.